Hello, my name is Jason Luse with Luse Womble in Addison, Texas. Our clients, like most small businesses, are struggling with cash flow challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic. Finding available working capital could be extremely important as revenues decline from closures and reduced production. This lifeline can provide the ability to keep vital expenses paid, including the support of your employees. The SBA Disaster Loan program may be a good option for providing short-term capital. In this video, we will provide detailed step-by-step instructions for completing the application, hopefully removing much of the confusion surrounding this process. We highly recommend you watch this video as you complete the application online. Before we get started on the instructional video, I wanted to go over a couple of quick hits. First, these instructions are only intended for businesses that are owned 100% by a person. If you're in a partnership that has tiers of ownership with a complicated legal structure, I don't think this video will be of much help. If you're in that situation, you need to work with an advisor that can help you through the application process. It's important to know that you must be in an SBA declared disaster zone. You can go to the Disaster Loan website to find out if your county is covered. These loans, they can be used to cover fixed debt, payroll, and other expenses. It's important to know they cannot be used to refinance existing debt. So we can't go to the SBA and ask them to refinance our current debt because we get better terms. The SBA will have sole discretion on the amount of loan that they give you and the terms they'll be able to give you. One of the conditions of getting an SBA loan is that you have an inability to get financing elsewhere. They don't really define that, and so it's hard to know how they'll look at your situation and determine if you qualify or not. In order to get started on the loan, you need to go to disasterloan.sba.gov to begin the application process. So let's get started. Once you go to the website, you will find yourself with a screen that looks like this. This is fairly simple, really nothing much here to do, but when you first go to get started, you want to register an account. So you'll hit the register button. It'll take you to the registration form of the document. The only real important thing about this particular form is that we recommend for that primary address that you use your personal address on that form. Keep in mind that the way you fill this out, the way you fill out these input boxes, it'll have an impact on the forms that are created. So we've gone through and tried to simplify to the best that we can what the ideal inputs will be in each input box. So for this primary address, we recommend you use your personal address. Once you fill that out and go to the next screen, it's just more simple registration, setting up a password, username, and getting started with just registering an account. Once you get to this screen, the system will prompt you to check your county again to make sure it's an eligible disaster area. Simply hit the red button, and you can type in your county, and it'll let you know if you're covered. Assuming you're covered, next you would want to apply online and get the loan process started. The next screen will ask a couple important questions, and these are very important for the flow of the application going forward. A couple of important notes on this screen. We really want to look at this screen from how we're taxed and not necessarily what our legal entity is. And so you may be an LLC that's taxed as an S corporation, and so it might make sense or seem logical that you would want to hit limited liability entity, but we don't want to do that for purposes of this application. We really want to check the box in the way in which we're taxed. And so, for example, if you're a C Corp or an S Corp, you'll want to pick that corporation box. If you're a sole proprietor, obviously you would want to hit that. If you're a partnership, you would want to click that option. But just the real important one that might confuse people is the corporation one, because Again, your legal entity might make you want to pick a different option, but we want to stick to the tax side. So it's important for you to know how you're taxed, and a lot of you are going to be in that S Corp situation, so we'll want to hit that corporation button. Then down at the bottom, it's very important that you hit the economic injury loan because that's what we're applying for in this situation. The next screen will ask you to input your state and county, and it'll bring up all the eligible disaster zone qualifications in that area. So obviously we would want to pick the coronavirus option. This screen is really just a consent form, so you just want to certify that and head to the next. When you get to the main dashboard of your loan application, you'll see sort of this dashboard here. It's important that we work all the way down that dashboard, and it'll clear each section as you complete that. So the first thing we want to do is start on the disaster business loan application. Once you go to the application, this screen will come up. Couple of important things here is in the applicant's legal name, we want to use the business as the applicant will be your business entity. It is very important to make sure that the name shown on that application, the applicant's legal name, is exactly as it's shown on your tax return. Don't abbreviate anything. So for example, if you're Northwest Family Dentistry, don't abbreviate that to NW Family Dentistry. Make sure you put in that box the exact full legal name. That'll be very important for forms that are filled out down the road. In that business phone number box, we recommend you use your cell phone number, assuming that you'll potentially be out of the office during this time. I think that's the easiest way to get a hold of you. In the mailing address section, we want to check business, and you will put the business address in that section. Down at the bottom, you'll see an area to fill out insurance. We don't want to fill any of that information out. Most people in this situation, even if they had business interruption insurance, it doesn't cover this type of scenario. So we definitely don't want to put that we were covered by any insurance under this and potentially limit our ability to get loan funds. At the bottom of that form, it'll ask for contact information. We want to use personal name and cell phone in this area. Very, very, very important note on this particular slide. On section 16, it is very important that you hit the box no on this. You may be tempted to hit yes in the way it reads, but for most people, you'll want to hit no in this section. This could be different if your business owned other entities. That's when you would want to hit yes. And again, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, that this instruction manual is not meant for partnerships and multi-tiered ownerships with multiple legal entities. And so for most of the people watching this, you will want to hit no in that section. Once we get to this screen, it will start asking you about the ownership of the business that was the applicant. So obviously you would want to fill in your personal information in this section. Now down at the bottom where it's telling you to circle no, the qualifications for this particular question are, if you only own one entity, then you need to check no. If you own personally 100% of multiple entities, you would want to check yes. This will allow you to add multiple entities to this application as affiliates. But one important thing to know, if you are trying to get coverage for multiple entities, Let's say you own 3 dental practices in 3 different towns with 3 different legal entities. You would have to file a separate application for each legal entity. And so you can't file one application that would cover all of those entities. So this particular question, it is important to let them know if you own other entities, and that's when you would select yes. But just because you do that doesn't mean you're applying for a loan for that entity. If you want to do multiple applications for multiple entities, you'd have to finish this process for entity number 1 and start over and start a full new application for separate entities. However, with that being said, if you do have multiple entities, you put yes here so that the SBA knows you have affiliated entities to this one owner. Again, if you own one practice 100% and no other entities, you select no. If you own multiple practices 100%, you will select yes. The next box shows if there's a business owner that owns this entity. So most people would put no because, again, this presentation is not meant for multi-tiered ownership with other legal entities. And so in the scenario where we have 100% ownership by an individual, we would put no business owner there. In addition, we would check no down at the bottom as well. Again, this covers individuals that own practices 100%, so we got to be very careful about the way we answer these questions. Down at the bottom of this slide is just a bunch of questions related to bankruptcies, tax liens. Most of us would be able to answer no in most of these categories. The one that might throw you for a loop is, has the business or the listed owner ever had or guaranteed a federal loan or a federally guaranteed loan? A lot of dentists had federal loans from student loans, and so this is the one that could trip you up. I would recommend putting no in this area. Otherwise, you're going to have to list out all the contracts of the federal student loans. While that may be more technically accurate, I do believe once the SBA pulls your credit and sees what you have, they'll see that you have those student loans. If you feel so inclined to answer this perfect and technically accurate, then you need to hit yes, and it will prompt you to list out those loans. There's no reason to fill out section 20 or 21. The next page is just a page for notes, and there's no reason to fill this out. Hit the next button. If you remember back a couple slides, we talked about the fact if you owned multiple businesses, you needed to check yes under that individual owner. If you checked yes, it would bring up this affiliated business section where you could list the other legal entities you own and the ownership percentage, and this will help you build the affiliated business to the applicant. Again, just because you put an affiliated business down here does not mean you're applying for a loan or will be covered by this loan. It's simply information for the SBA so they can look at things holistically and understand all the different businesses you own. Once you go through that process, you've completed the disaster business loan application. So now we're back at the dashboard. The next thing we need to complete is the personal financial statement. The first page of the personal financial section is going to ask you about your personal income. You need to go in and fill out your salary, any investment income, real estate income. In that other income section is where I would report your flow through K1 income from your S corporation. As an MLW client, if you are an MLW client and you have some confusion in this area, feel free to reach out to your planning team to get some assistance on what to put in those boxes. This section is only meant for personal real estate that's owned. So if you have a house or a vacation home, this is where you would want to report that. When you report your house, we recommend that you put primary residence in that type of property and good standing in that status of mortgage. So the other stuff is just objective information from your loan documents. In that, if you wanted a little description help, we recommend primary residence for your primary home and good standing in that status of mortgage section. Here you're going to list other personal assets, stocks, cash you may have on hand, retirement plans, the value of your practice, automobiles. Again, if you're an MLW client and need help in this area, feel free to reach out to us and we can help assist getting the right numbers in these boxes. Personal debts, this is going to walk through adding loans that you have, auto loans, home equity line of credits, any other loans that you may carry, you will need to enter in this section. Once you get through the personal financial statement, it'll take you back out to the dashboard. And the next thing we need to complete is the schedule of liabilities. This schedule of liabilities is for the business only. And so in this section, you will only list your business loans and the information related to business loans. So you literally just put the information in. If you have multiple loans, click add another loan and you'll walk right through this section fairly easy. The next section of the dashboard is an economic injury disaster loan supporting information. It'll lead you to this screen. You simply want to click download. This is a pretty simple form to fill out. The first thing you need to do is print it out so you can write in your answers to the questions. There's only 3 particular sections we're worried about on this. The first one at the top is, was the business in operation 1 year prior to the disaster? So you can check yes or no on that. Secondly, we need to fill in the gross revenues for the 12 months prior to the disaster. We recommend using your 2019 data for that. So you can use your 2019 financials to pull that information. Secondly, we need to enter the cost of goods sold. Now, cost of goods sold is sort of a universal term and can mean a bunch of different things. And for purposes of this particular form, we are interpreting that that's the total expenses of your business for the year. So to get that number, we recommend taking total expenses and subtracting out owner pay, amortization, and depreciation. That'll give you a good estimate of what your cost of goods sold or total costs were for the year. Now that you've completed that form, sign and date it at the bottom. You'll want to input your business title. We recommend if you're an LLC, you use member. If you're a professional association, professional corporation, that you use president. Otherwise, take your best guess. I don't think you're going to get in trouble if you put the wrong thing there. So sign, date, and title that. Once you're done with that, you'll need to scan it back into your computer and get it ready for download. If you're a client of MLW and need help filling out this form, please reach out to us and we'll be able to get those figures for you pretty quickly. Once you've scanned, signed, titled, date that document and scanned it back into your computer, you need to upload it to the software here. You'll simply browse for that document and upload. It's important to know we have had situations where we've had trouble uploading those documents. So if you have trouble getting that to upload, you can email that document to disasterloans@sba.gov. Again, that's disasterloans@sba.gov. And please remember in the email to put your applicant name and the application number. Once you complete the economic injury disaster loan supporting information form, it's time to work on your requests for transcripts of your tax return. What this is it essentially allows the SBA to request your tax returns from the IRS. So it's very important that these forms are filled out properly, so when they submit it to the IRS, they won't delay in getting those tax returns over to the SBA. So we would start with the business. It would take us to this screen. There's nothing really important to do here other than you're going to have to put your title. We generically recommend that if you're an S Corp that you use president for that. If you're another entity, you can choose the most applicable entity on there. But for most people that are an S Corp, please use president on that form. This will again take you to a download section. We're going to want to download that document. This is an example of what that document looks like. There's one important modification we need to make to this document. If you'll look in section 6 where it says 1120 or 1120, for anybody that's an S corporation, we need you to make a modification to this form. You will need to write an S at the end of that number, so the number should read 1120S. That's a very, very important modification to make to this document. Once you've done that, you can simply sign at the bottom. You'll scan that document back into your computer and it's ready for upload. The next thing we want to do is work on the request for transcript of tax return for our personal tax return. So we'll want to, it'll take you to this simple screen. There's really nothing to do on this screen. And we're going to want to hit the download button. There's a unique complexity related to this form. The SBA does allow for e-signature on this particular form. However, it's important to know that not everybody can actually do the e-signature. You have to make the delineation between married and single. If you are single, you can move forward with the e-signature and go ahead and sign it electronically and be done with it. If you're married, you need to opt out of the e-signature option. It's very important. Once you opt out, the system will ask you why you want to opt out of e-signature, and you need to select, I prefer to sign with traditional paper and ink. So make that selection and press OK. It will take you back to the download screen. Now you need to download that document. Once this form comes up, there's a couple really important modifications that you're going to need to make on this form. The first modification is in section 2A and 2B. In 2A, you will want to write your spouse's name as shown on your tax return. And in 2B, you will want to write your spouse's social security number in that box. Once you've done that, each of you need to sign and date that form. Once it's signed and dated, you'll scan it back into your computer to upload it to the system. Once you're ready to upload, you can browse for that document on your computer and hit upload. If you have problems uploading, you can email that document to disasterloans@sba.gov. Again, remember to put your applicant name and application number on that document if you end up emailing it over. After you've submitted your request for transcripts of your tax return, the next section on the dashboard is going to ask you to upload the most recent business tax returns. So you'll hit start, it'll take you to an upload screen. You simply take a digital copy and upload it to the portal. After that, there's a few more consents down at the bottom that are really easy to go through. You'll go through those couple of consents and you've completed the application process. We hope you found this instructional video helpful as you work through the SBA Disaster Loan application process. We gathered our information needed for this video through both trial and error, as well as contacting the SBA directly for guidance. We believe our instruction and tips will help you streamline your application and likely save you significant effort and frustration. So what happens next? The SBA will review your information and most likely follow up with additional information requests. From there, they will proceed with making a determination both on whether you will receive funds and what the terms of the loan would be. It is currently unclear as to the timeline on a response from the SBA or on the receipt of funds once approved. You will, however, receive an immediate response to confirm the receipt of your information. Contact your MLW planning team if you have any further questions. Thanks for watching.